Up next, the greatest enemy of the appeasers, annual champion of cigar sales, one of the big three of World War II, Winston Churchill. You now face an incredibly difficult choice. On the beach, 400,000 British soldiers are surrounded by German troops. Behind them is the sea, and in front of them are German machine guns. At this moment, your old adversary Hitler tells you, "If you sign the surrender document, I will let those 400,000 British soldiers on the beach return home." So, if you were Churchill, would you sign the surrender? If you sign it, you will be the most compassionate person in all of Britain, for you have saved the lives of 400,000 soldiers on that beach. But the price is that from the day you sign, Britain will become a slave to the Nazis, and not just Britain. All of Europe will fall under Nazi enslavement. If you choose not to sign, you will be branded a complete butcher. In the next moment, Nazi tanks will mow down those 400,000 British soldiers like grass. When that happens, the entire British people will point their fingers at you and condemn you as a sinner. Be a coward who saves lives, or a hero who sacrifices lives. The politicians in suits and ties around you are all pressing you to make a decision. Don't joke with lives, Prime Minister. Even the king is ready to flee, and the Americans have simply hung up on our plea for help. Just when everyone wanted to surrender, you did something no one saw coming. You did not beg Hitler, nor did you beg the United States. Instead, you turned and headed straight for the busiest, shabbiest subway station in London. Perhaps you never imagined that the hardest decision of your life would be made inside a swaying subway car. The carriage was filled with ordinary people covered in dust and grime. Shoemakers, construction workers, women holding babies. All of them stared at you, the overweight prime minister with a cigar. There was no blame in their eyes, only a silence so quiet it sent chills down your spine. You didn't use empty political phrases. Instead, you spoke from the heart and asked them,
"Nicely. Get very favorable terms from Mr. Hitler if we enter into a peace deal with him right now. What would you say to that?"
Never!
You thought these civilians struggling on the brink of death would beg you for peace, but instead the whole carriage was shouting, "Fight on. We will never be slaves." At that moment, this veteran politician shed tears. You suddenly understood one truth. Those who would truly sacrifice for this war never thought of surrender. You had no right to choose slavery on their behalf. Those so-called elite politicians saw the 400,000 soldiers on the beach as bargaining chips. But to these ordinary people, those 400,000 lives represented dignity and courage. You finally returned to the war cabinet with unshakable resolve, for behind you stands not just a ballot that made you prime minister, but the entire unyielding people of Britain. You return to Parliament, facing those hypocrites who are still calculating losses and thinking of surrender. You tell them firmly, "We will save lives, but we will never beg for mercy." You made the craziest yet most resolute decision. Every single vessel in Britain that can float must set sail for Dunkirk. And then came one of the most breathtaking scenes in human history. Elderly fishermen cast aside their nets. Young lads who normally rowed on rivers launched their small boats. Hundreds of odd-looking, battered vessels braved German bombers and raced against death across the English Channel to rescue their men. They were not regular soldiers. They were just ordinary people who wanted to bring their compatriots home. For 9 days and nights, you stayed in the command center with bloodshot eyes. When the mission that was only meant to save 30,000 people finally brought back 338,000 lives, the whole world was stunned. You saved nearly 400,000 people, yet you never wrote a single word of surrender to Hitler. You stood on the podium and declared to the whole world that famous line, "We shall fight on the beaches, we shall fight on the streets, we shall never surrender." From that moment on, no one in Britain ever mentioned surrender again. With the stubborn grit of an old man, you ignited the fiercest courage of an entire nation. In the end, the war was won, and you became a hero. But during those darkest days, you never let the people of this land kneel. As long as the spirit of never giving up remains, even if homes are destroyed and cities lie in ruins, the people can rebuild. This nation will never die. This was Churchill. Faced with the hardest choice of all, he chose the one that upheld dignity. For he knew that some lives must never be traded for one soul.